Hello, everyone. I'm your instructor, James Marcuzzo. This is my friend, Warren Buffett, the coffee mug. And I want to talk to you about weeks 7, 8, and 9 and how they connect together because I don't want anyone to get too lost in all these different ideas. So, quick synopsis. Hopefully, this doesn't go over 4 minutes. We start off with a discussion in the early part of the class about civic engagement, civic virtue, the idea of building social capital by working together and being involved in your community, right? And we generally argue that is a good thing, that people should do more of it, and we would all be better for it. Especially in a diverse society where people see each other as looking or acting or believing differently causes them to sort of pull back, right? So we actually need to be more engaged on purpose in a diverse society. Okay, so in week 7, we talk about the structure of the government and why. Hopefully, I don't need to go too far into depth. The government is designed to separate the 3 naturally occurring powers of any power structure: legislative, executive, and judiciary. And we explain through the Federalist Papers why we separate them and some ideas about how we might go about separating them. Giving the president the veto power, separating the legislature into 2 distinct branches. The weakest branch has lifetime tenure so that they can be insulated from the politics of the country. Okay. So we're talking about what type of values we want enshrined in the government, and it's legitimacy mixed with maximum personal freedom. That's the federal system and the separation of powers, right? State, federal governments competing against one another. Then we get to week 8. In week 8, we talk about how values manifest as human rights. We look at the French, the American, and the UN document. The first 2 are written side by side in the late 1800s, and the third document, the UN document, was written in 1948, about 150 years later. They are very similar in many ways because they are all coming from a similar Enlightenment era Western philosophy with a focus on individual rights and government being legitimate in responding to the people, right? You can have a tyrannical government that might actually do a decent enough job of organizing a society. Look at China. The problem is, will it be legitimate over the long run if it's not responsive to people's demands for whatever it is they want? That's the thing that we've tried to do. In the UN document, it goes much further than in the previous 2 US and French documents about just how many human rights they think exist. And specifically, there is an article by Thomas Frank where he discusses in some good depth the concept of human rights. Are they real? How expansive are they? Who gets them? How can they be enforced? This is a function of government, right? So we design a government to protect our rights. We have the first 10 amendments that the government protects. In fact, the government is restricted by the first 10 amendments from screwing with us, is really the point of the first 10 amendments. Then in week 9, we talk about the international system itself, and it's not just universal human rights or the UN, it's how should nation states interact? Should the nation state be the primary individual actor, or should some expansive, broadened UN world government actually call all the shots, and the individual nation states are like individual actors, right, in a government system? And so I hope you can see how these things fit together. We're taking these steps from the nation state, and then the concept of values and universal values, which means universal, everyone. And then how do those things help us to understand how the world system works, whether it's nationalism or communitarianism, not to speak so much about, we're not talking about capitalism or communism, socialism, not really. So hopefully that's useful. And good luck, and we'll talk soon.